Assalamu alaikum. We started a new course, Communication Skills for Business. Today is lecture 2 for it, and it's general, it's not difficult at all. So you won't be finding any difficulty while attempting it, even while doing the assignment task as well. Okay. In the last class, that was lecture 1, we did LO1 1.1 till 1.2. And today we will be doing 1.3, 1M1, and 5.1. These slides are according to the task wise in your assignment brief, so you need to catch up with that as well. Okay. Analyze barriers to effective communication with an organization. Now, in generally, if I talk about communication, it is a two-way natural process which every person has, and it's a need as well. That if I'm talking to you, you need to give me a response. So there is a talking, a command, an order, and a feedback as well from the other respondent party. That is a communication, and we have two-way, one-way, sign languages, written, verbal, oral, and so many other kinds. But there are some certain problems that is tranquility barriers, which we need to make the communication effective while we are in the organization. So we're going to focus on that. And the command verb analyze means, first of all, breaking up all the definitions into specific paragraphs, giving the examples from all the SMEs, that is small, medium enterprises. After that, you're going to discuss the positive and negative aspects or the problems or solutions. And in the end, a solution and a conclusion. Barriers to effective communication are the obstacles that hinder the successful exchange of information, ideas, or feelings between individuals or groups. Now, what are the barriers? These are the problematic stuff, things, or points which occur while we make the communication process smoother and easier for the respondent party to respond in time. All the points are from your indicative content. So we'll be doing by one. The first one is clarity of written or oral message. Now, first of all, you need to be clear that what you're writing or what you are talking or you are conveying. Readability, language, tone. Ambiguous language, complex vocabulary, and an inappropriate tone can impede the clarity of messages, leading to misunderstanding. Sometimes what happens, you're not using the good language enough or the easier language which is understandable by every population or a person. Because if you're giving a speech or you're talking about something in a webinar or a workshop, you need to use a language which is acceptable by everyone. You cannot use the, my mom used to say that do not talk always in the Ferrari English. That is the one which is quite difficult. So you need to be take the normal one all the time. Impact, misinterpretation of the messages, confusion, and reduced engagement among the team members. When there is a problem, then definitely you will see that people are not going to respond well with each other. There is going to be a problem. They will hesitate to talk, they will hesitate to discuss. Mitigation, that is the steps which we can take to overcome these things or a problem. First, use clear and concise language. That is being way too easy with it. Tailor the message to the audience comprehension level. The way you already know that you're going to target what type of audience. Are they youth, or the adult, or the elite, or the normal? So you are going to specify everything accordingly. Ensure an appropriate and respectful tone in both written and oral communication. No matter what the other person is talking to you in a bad way or in a good way or in a normal or a neutral way, always try your best to give your best in the way you're talking. If they are harsh, try to communicate politely. The way you are going to talk, that will be the impact on them, which will be left forever in their mind. And that is quite triggering for them, not for you. Okay, then example. In an email, a manager uses jargon and technical terms without providing explanation. This can lead to confusion among the team members who are not familiar with the terminology, like ASAP, as soon as possible. This is now quite generally used by us. But if I talk with the teachers and my elderly people, my grandparents, they won't understand it at all. So you need to be very mindful while using the language in the written and oral one. In fact, like people, literally the ones which are so much into the text messages, they literally forget the spellings of you, that is Y-O-U. They're always typing U, just a simple U, alphabet U. Then team members may hesitate to seek clarification, resulting in the execution of the task based on misunderstanding, of or misunderstood instruction. When you're not clear, then definitely the instructions are not going to be met purposefully. Technology, poor connection, technical issues such as poor internet connectivity or malfunctioning equipment can disrupt communication. Well, that's true, right? We had a lot of political problem last week. Internet was blackout. There was a lot of disruption and a massacre going on. So there was a lot of technical glitches going on as well. The signals were dropped as well. So it was literally a nightmare, a kind of a martial law going on in Pakistan. Then over reliance on the certain communication channels or using technology for the inappropriate types of communication can hinder effectiveness. Now, why an over reliance? Because you have seen that if we do not have a proper communication channels, we're not having WhatsApp properly working, YouTube not working properly, and Instagram as well. So everything gets down. Our payment style, our business style is attached to social media. That is why it hinders our dependence on it. Impact breakdowns in the visual meetings, like so much delays in the Zoom meetings. I know a person who is in Pakistan, one of my students, and there is a lot of glitches in the internet there. Just because of that, literally a 40-minute class turns into 2 hour plus class. And that's literally so much annoying. But you cannot do anything about it. You buy the devices, whatever you do, there is going to be a problem there. Delayed responses or the inappropriate use of communication platforms. Like many people make fake IDs and then disrupts you. Mitigation strategies, that is the one which we can overcome this problem. Ensure reliable technology infrastructure, that is using an excellent internet connection, providing training on the appropriate use of communication tools, how we have to use Zoom app, how we have to use Slack platform, Microsoft Teams, and everything, because they itself is a big, literally an app which have excellent features in it. Have contingency plans for technical issues, that is, those problems which you think can come. You can take precautionary measures beforehand, or if somehow things happen, or bad things happen, you know which step to take first. For example, during a virtual meeting, frequent disruptions and lag into the audio lead to participants missing the crucial information. That's true. That using a casual messaging platform for the formal performance feedback can lead to misunderstandings and discomfort among the team members. Now, when you're in a meeting in an official organization, you need to use an email while texting with the people or conveying an important message or a memorandum. But if you're using WhatsApp chat for it, it is way too annoying. Literally, it just disrupts you a lot. Then, miscommunication due to the technical glitches may result in the delayed project line because you are not able to listen to what the other person said to you. Then interpersonal relationships. These are existing conflicts or the strained relationships among the team members can create a hostile environment hindering the open communication. Sometimes what happens is we do not resolve problems which we do incur with the partners, which are our colleagues in an organization. That should be resolved at all costs, because what will happen if you're not talking properly, you are not communicating properly, the team members are going to know that there is something wrong going on or fishy going on, and they will be going to mark you out with something labels which are going to be bad. Then impact on communication, fear of confrontation, that is, you are going to confront, reluctance to share ideas because you're not bold enough or you have something bad glitch going on with another person, with the colleague, so you're not going to talk properly. So definitely you're not going to even share the ideas. And a breakdown of the collaborative efforts. Mitigation, encourage conflict resolution mechanism, that if a problem occurs, you need to resolve it as soon as possible. Foster a positive and inclusive organizational culture because it impacts the mentality too and the physical health as well, because you drained out in an organization way too quick. Provide the training on the effective interpersonal communication skills, how we talk with the colleagues, with the managers, with the firm line managers, and with the CEOs. Examples, two team members have unresolved personal issues leading to a lack of collaboration during team meetings. So this happens mostly in an organization when you are wife and there's a problem which is not resolved. It actually gets impact on the working style as well. It is a fact. Then important information may be withheld affecting the overall team's performance and project outcome. Because you're not talking with the other person, you don't feel like sharing the important stuff with them as well. Then non-verbal communication, misinterpreted body language. Now, body language is very important in every aspect. While you are giving even a presentation in a university or at the college organization too, your body language tells everything about you, like the way you're entering the room, literally the interviews who are going to take your interview, They will be seeing from your body and everything that how you're going to be performing. Whether you will be shy, you will be confident, or you won't, like disrupt yourself. So non-verbal cues such as facial expression and gestures may be misinterpreted, leading to misunderstandings. You have seen that many people use pens in their hand to hold, or they do tic-tac all the time. They're actually nervous. And just to behead that, they're using that pen as the source to comfort them. Then lack of trust, confusion, and potential conflicts arising from the misread cues because maybe it's a habit. Some people like to just tiptoe their toes all the time. Some are always like putting hands in their hands all the time, twisting their fingers. It's gesture as well. Mitigation, promote awareness of cultural differences in non-verbal communication. uh, then there are certain practices which are in the cultural and you cannot stop it. Encourage open dialogue to clarify any misinterpretation, that is two-way communication. Providing training on effective non-verbal communication, that is sign languages, body gestures, body language, everything. In a video conference, a team member's forward the bro is misinterpreted as a disagreement creating tension. Sometimes it's a habit as well that you're keeping your bros frowned. So it is a bad impact as well. The misinterpretation of non-verbal cues may lead to a breakdown in team cohesion and trust. Just because of those gestures, it can lead to problem as well. Identifying and understanding these barriers to effective communication is essential for the organizations to cultivate a transparent and collaborative work environment. By implementing mitigation strategies and fostering a culture of open communication, organization can overcome these barriers and enhance the effectiveness of the internal communication processes. So first you need to detect the problems, that is the barrier, and then you need to find the resolutions or the solutions to it. Afterwards, you have to implement the strategy and you are going to get the feedback out of it. This proactive approach contributes to improved teamwork, increased productivity, and the overall success of the organization. And what is the feedback of it? That when you take the measurable measures, you're going to have good teamwork, everybody is going to be confined, and your productivity or your efficiency will also increase. And ultimately, your organization is going to be the successful one. It's just an example. Let's read it. In a global technology company, the clarity of written communication became a significant barrier when the team received complex technical documentation filled with jargon and industry-specific language. So what was the problem here? The document which they received, it was full of jargon language and some industrialized language as well. The intricacies of the content led to misunderstandings among the team members from diverse backgrounds because they maybe some is from a college graduate, some people are from the university, and then there is a sect different as well. Recognizing this, the company implemented a strategy to simplify communication by providing glossaries, that is the word definitions. You must be familiar with the glossary terms, right? There is a word, for example, communication, and I provide a definition to it that is known as glossary. It's always at the end of the documents and books as well. Defining technical terms and ensuring that documentation was accessible to all through the email and CRM system. This initiative not only improved comprehension but also fostered a collaborative environment where individuals felt more confident in sharing the ideas and contributing to discussion. Definitely, when the document was filled with the jargons, you're not going to understand a single word. You can only assume, but once you get the glossary of it, it will be very easy for you people to understand and commute. Demonstrating the practical impact of addressing communication barriers in the workplace. So we're done with 1.3, now 1M1. Analyze possible legal and ethical issues in relation to the communication of information within the organization. So again, in the indicative content, we have points from the legal issues separately and ethical issues separately. So you will be attempting this question accordingly. With that, first I will give you a glossary definitions of the legal issues, then the legal terms and ethical terms, and then we will be doing the issues one by one. Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. The FOIA is a law that gives individuals the right to access information held by public authorities. It promotes transparency and accountability by allowing individuals to request information from the government agencies, public bodies, and certain organizations. Now, what FOIA does, it has an authority, has a right that we can take the information of any person if we need, if we require it. For example, an individual submits an FOI request to government agency to obtain records related to public spending or the government decision-making processes. It is not obviously easy for the people living in the developing countries, but the people who are in the developed nations like Canada, US, and America, UAE, they are actually demanding it from the government and they do provide it as well. Then we have general data protection regulation. First, I'm defining it, the legal part, then we will doing ethical, and then we are going to move towards the issues. It will actually break down the scenario way too easily. The GDPR is a comprehensive data protection law in the European Union that governs the processing of the personal data. It aims to protect individual privacy rights and imposes the obligations on organizations that collect, process, or store personal data. Like your information is enfolded with the governmental agencies and even the offices which are issuing your national identity cards. They have everything what you have. For example, a company must obtain explicit consent from the individuals before collecting their personal information for marketing purposes, and it must ensure that secure handling of the personal data to prevent unauthorized access or data breaches. Why it's necessary to ask your permission while they take a picture as well. If you are sponsoring somebody, or you have to give number to someone to just know the offers going on in the store, because that's your right. These numbers are misled and misused as well. We have mostly seen that we do have wrong calls and some people who are disturbing the women numbers specifically because they have the authority to it, and that's wrong. Equality legislation. Equality legislation refers to the laws and regulations that promote equality and prohibit discrimination based on protected characteristics such as race, gender, age, disability, religion, or sexual orientation. These laws aim to ensure equal opportunities and treatment for all individuals. Now, in country in Pakistan, we only have two genders, acceptability, male and female. Third one has, I think, got the identity, national identity card, if I'm not wrong. But in the other countries, we do have the concept of LGBTQ as well, and beyond that. And they have the rights because every person is a person. They have the right. Obviously, Islamically, it's prohibited. We do not accept it. But the people who do not have any religion or the atheist, they always emphasize on equality legislation. For example, an employer is prohibited from discriminating against a job applicants based on their age, gender, or ethnicity during the recruitment processes, as mandated by equality legislation. Like specifically, males, they are not given that much job opportunities as compared to female. Females are more encouraged, and that's a big discrimination going on. Ethical use of email. Ethical use of email involves adhering to the principles of professionalism, confidentiality, and respect for the privacy when communicating via email. It includes refraining from using email for inappropriate or unauthorized purposes and ensuring the secure transmission of sensitive information. Sometimes this happens that we sent the email to the wrong persons as well, just we missed any letter from the email ID. And that's wrong. It actually breaches the data as well. For example, an employee avoids using their work email for the personal correspondence or sharing confidential company information with unauthorized recipients to maintain ethical standards in email communication, like the one which is officially used by your company. It cannot be used by the for the personal usage. Like for the HNIT, I have my personal and both the official management ID given to me because that's a mandation. I cannot use my personal IDs and everything to send you the documents, but I can use the official one. Whistleblowing. Whistleblowing refers to the act of reporting misconduct, illegal activities, or unethical behavior within an organization to authorities or relevant stakeholders. It serves to expose wrongdoing and promote accountability, transparency, and ethical conduct. Like in an organization, you already know that we have to promote the healthy environment. We cannot work in the deceived environment or the one which is misled by most of the men and they're just doing stuffs and stuff. That's wrong. We need to talk about that. Example, an employee discovers evidence of fraud or corruption within their company and decides to report it to the appropriate regulatory agency or whistleblower hotline. Despite there's a specific number as well that where we can file the complaint, despite potential risk to their career or reputation, and that's called the white collar money. For the ethical, this is the last organizational policies. These are informal guidelines, rules, or procedures established by an organization to govern the conduct of its employees and operation. These policies outline expectations, responsibilities, and standards of behavior to ensure compliance with legal requirements and ethical principles. So, whatever the goals and objectives of the organization are, there are certain policies as well, which are made by the government and the regulatory bodies and which needs to be followed at all costs. For example, a company implements a social media policy that outlines acceptable use of social media platforms by employees, including guidelines for protecting confidential information and representing the organization professionally online. Like you have seen that due to the protest and stuff politically going on in Pakistan, you cannot say bad to the PMLN government. They can check your phones as well, and it's right. And even recently, um, they're stopping the people, mostly the innocent one, and they're demanding their ID cards. They are checking their phones. They're getting into the personal social media platforms like WhatsApp and Instagram and reading up the chats as well. That if we are talking ill about the government or not. So that is what? That is undeclared martial law which is going on in Pakistan right now. That's way too bad. But we cannot do anything. If a person goes out to protest, they just open up a massacre fire and you're done with the everything. Now coming towards the legal issues. First, I defined that what these terminologies are. Now we are going to talk about it. FOIA. Organization must adhere to the FOIA regulation, which grant the public access to certain information held by public authorities. In practice, inaccurate or withheld information can lead to legal consequences affecting organizational transparency because anybody can extract that information. So it's very difficult as well to always be on the social media and on the agencies as well, and you're giving your accounts, your um, profits, net profits, your loss, your assets, everything is listed there. GDPR mandates protection of individuals' personal data, requiring organization to obtain consent of the data processing and ensure the data security. In practice, unauthorized disclosure or mishandling of the personal data can result in legal penalties and damage an organization's reputation. Your goodwill is at stake when you're using the GDPR as well, because anybody can ask for the information that where are funds used, what are the status of the taxes which are used for the public fundings. Equality, laws prohibiting discrimination based on the factors like race, gender, and disability must be followed. Bias or discriminatory communication may lead to legal action impacting the organization's image and employee relation. If there is a handicapped person or if there is a problem with any person, you should respect them because they're all human beings. They're working in the organization, they have the rights with them. Ethical issues, email communication raises ethical consideration related to the privacy, confidentiality, and appropriate usage. Unethical use, such as sharing sensitive information without the consent, can erode trust and lead to breaches of privacy. Most of the time, pictures. Whistleblowing, encouraging employees to report misconduct, raises ethical questions regarding loyalty and confidentiality. If not managed ethically, whistleblowing can create a culture of fear, hindering open communication problems. Why? Because sometimes it happens if you take a step, then there are going to be some legal problems against you. You're fired as well. But sometimes people are scared. They do not talk openly that this misconduct happened or there was a problem going on. They prefer to keep quiet rather to take a stand for themselves. Organization must establish clear communication policies that align with ethical standards and respect employee rights. Because when you're signing the job description and job specification, the rights are also signed in the document. Ethical breaches in policy reinforcement can undermine the trust and employee morale, negatively affecting the communication channels. When you're not going to give them proper attention and the proper motivational level, then definitely they're not going to feel happy and their motivation and efficacy level goes down. Navigating the legal and ethical landscape of organizational communication is imperative for the maintaining trust, fostering transparency, and ensuring compliance. So, why it's important to keep both of the components side by side? Because it helps in building up the trust and it helps in opaqueness as well. Organizations must continuously review and update their communication practices to align with legal requirements and ethical standards. So you cannot stick with one objective or few objectives all the time. You need to upgrade them. By proactively addressing these issues, organization can create a communication environment that is not only legally sound, but also ethically responsible, contributing to a positive organization culture. Because everything is linked to the culture, the environment, the way we are performing, and the productivity. These are two kinds of examples. These are real life. In 2018, Facebook faced a legal and ethical dilemma, a decision undergone related to the use of personal data, highlighting the intersection of legal regulations and ethical consideration in the organizational communication. The company came under scrutiny for its involvement in the Cambridge Analytica scandal, where the personal data of millions of Facebook users was harvested without their consent for political profiling. You must have seen that before the COVID, there was a rise in the Facebook profiles and fake profiles as well. and it was scammed and hacked as well for some reason. So what it was all about this was going on, and Latica scandal. This incident raised legal concerns under the GDPR Act, leading to investigations by regulatory bodies. Ethically, Facebook's communication practices faced the severe criticism for failing to protect user privacy and being transparent about the data usage, because your data is actually sold in the dark web and black market as well. That is why it is always, right now, the safest software app is Snapchat. Rest, they're at stake. So it's better to go for the Snapchat all the time. The scandal underscored the importance of organization aligning their communication practices with both legal requirements such as GDPR and ethical principles to maintain trust and integrity in their interactions with stakeholders. So you have seen by your own eyes right now that this happened actually. That is why it's very, very important to look upon ethical and legal issues both. Then Wells Fargo unauthorized account scandal. In the banking sector, Wells Fargo faced a major legal and ethical crisis related to its communication practices. In 2016, it was revealed that Wells Fargo employees had opened unauthorized accounts for the customers without their knowledge, aiming to meet aggressive sales targets. Because it was a pressure from the Wells Fargo, that is the owner, on the employees that they need to meet the target at all cost. So what they were doing, they were fudging up the data. This scandal raised legal concern as the bank faced investigations by regulatory authorities, resulting in substantial fines. Ethically, the organization was criticized for fostering a culture that pressured employees to engage in deceptive practices to meet goals. The communication breakdown within the organization, where employees were discouraged from reporting unethical behavior, highlighted the importance of aligning communication with both legal complications or compliance and ethical standards to prevent such issues. So this was the breakdown of 1M1 example. Then this is assessment criteria 5.1. Let's read it. It is in your task one. Communicate complex information in writing for specific purposes. That is, there are different styles of writing, communicating, and there is a purpose as well. For example, in writing, it refers to conveying information using written language rather than spoken or visual means. This includes various formats such as reports, briefing notes, press releases, social media posts, and meeting documentation. What it is, it's in the writing. For example, I made a graph on an Adobe Reader, Illustrator, a post, a brochure, and then I post it on the Instagram. What's that? That's a social media post which is going to get likes. Purpose describes the reason or objective behind the written communication. For example, the purpose could be to present result support for the decision making or to launch a marketing campaign to promote a product or service. Now, there is obviously a hidden reason, the reason which is causing us to do the act, and that is the purpose all the time. Then, conventions in written communication refers to the established norms, practices, and standards followed in the written communication. This includes formatting guidelines, language usage, and stylistic preferences. Like it's always preferred to use Times New Roman number format should be 12, and for the heading, it should always be 14 and 16. And the line spacing, alignment, everything is very necessary, and that's the convention. Formal reports detail documentation that follows a structured format and are typically used for conveying comprehensive information or analysis in a particular topic, like the one which you guys sent me while attempting the assignments. That is a formal report. Whereas informal, less structured documents that may be used for conveying updates, summaries, or informal analysis, they're often more concise and less detailed than formal reports. They're kind of a summary. Like before making the presentations and documents for you people, I always go for the informal stuff first. I gather everything and then I commute it. Emails, letters, and text. Different forms of written communication, each with its own conventions and purposes. Emails are commonly used for quick and informal communication, while the letters are more formal and structured. Text messages are typically brief and informal. Now, written communication, emails are formal, letters are formal. All right, the memorandums too. But the text messages are quite informal. It is used by everyone. Greeting, sign off, and tone refers to elements of writing that contribute to the overall tone and style of the communication. Greetings are the salutation used to address the recipient, like in the start of the letter or the email. It is always recommended to start with respected sir or madam or dear, and then we have to end it by yours truly, yours sincerely, and that is the ending one. Tone refers the way you talk, the way you deliver. the attitude or the emotional expression conveyed through the language used in the communication, like the storytellers. They have an excellent tone. Punctuation and grammar. Rules and conventions governing the correct use of punctuation marks, for example, commas, period, apostrophes, and grammatical structures. Punctuation marks are these, explanation mark as well. Structures are subject, verb, agreement, and sentence structure. That is, you're using third form, second form, and how you're using the connectors, conjunctions, everything. Proper punctuation and grammar are essential for clarity and effective communication. Lastly, use of first or third person. That is I, we, you, they, we used to do that refers to the perspective from which the information is presented. First person, I or we. For example, it is involves speaking from the perspective of the writer or the organization they represent. I, assessor, and the lecturer of an HNIT. It's in that way. While third person, he, she, they. It involves speaking about the writer or the organization in a more detached manner. We, I can give example. They have an excellent services which they give it to the students and to the assessors and the teachers as well. That's the third form. The choice between the first and third person depends on the context and purpose of the communication. That is where you're using the proper channel of communication, how you are using it purposefully. That's it. We are done with complete LO1 and all the components included in task 1.